And this is my second contribution to 16-Bit Winter. This is yet another Genesis game I played the hell out of. And if you didn't recognize that name that flashed at the beginning, Ancient Company also worked on Streets of Rage 2, ActRaiser 2. They also did a bunch of games based on anime, like they did a Bleach game, they did a couple of Hitman Reborn games. But for now, we are here for Beyond Oasis, or the story of Thor. And before you start asking questions about that last title, nope, there is nothing to do with Norse mythology anywhere in this game. The character you see on screen right now is Prince Ali. Yes, it is he. Nope, no relation. He likes to explore and also go digging for various artifacts, and he finds this gold armlet. The armlet used to belong to a sorcerer who was in a battle with another sorcerer who had a silver armlet. And after their battle, both of them got destroyed and the armlets were presumed to be lost. However, Ali found the gold one and somebody else found the silver one, and the person who found the silver one is now trying to resurrect the person who had the silver armlet before, a person named Agito. And the person that we're talking to right now is a sorcerer called Raharl. So now it's going to become our mission to stop the person who found the silver armlet and prevent Oasis from falling into ruin. This is all going to repeat a bunch of stuff that I just said, although with a little more detail. I'm kind of simplifying things. So I might as well mention that the composer of the music for this game is actually pretty well known. It's a man by the name of Yuzo Koshiro, and he's worked on a ton of different games, dating back to the mid-80s. He's worked on the Ys series of games. He worked on the ActRaiser games, both of them, all the Streets of Rage games, from what I can tell. He worked on, well, this and the sequel to this, Legend of Oasis, and he also worked on Namco x Capcom, and recently he's also been working on the Etrian Odyssey games. And just give me a moment to clear a little space here and we'll be good to go. If you're a fan of some games like Legend of Zelda or Secret of Mana, Secret of Evermore, any of those type of playstyles, I would definitely recommend giving this game a try. But for now, Ali, whose hair is suddenly standing up and spiky when it was down before, has to escape the island as it collapses into the sea. And there's a surprising amount of depth with combat in this game. So I'm actually going to spend the first part of this showing off some of the things that you can do. First, just some basic movement controls. You can run, you can walk, you can jump, you can duck. Jump and duck are assigned to the same button, but if you double tap it, you won't do the duck before you jump. You can also move around while ducking. Now as for attacks, you start off with this dagger, and you can hold the attack button to swing it, or you can just tap it to jab it out. And if you keep mashing the attack button, you'll do this series of kicks. That will automatically happen when you're at extremely close range with an enemy, and it can be a good way to drain their health really fast. You can also do this circular attack by rotating the D-pad and hitting attack. And this is a rolling slash. You hit forward, back, and then forward of whatever direction you're facing, and you will do that attack. Now there's a variant of that called multiple rolling slashes, and it's really tricky to do. You have to rotate the D-pad, and then hit forward, and then hit B 3 times. You're rarely going to see me do that, and in fact, if you see me do that during the course of the gameplay, odds are I'm doing it by accident. You can also do jump kicks too, which can also be effective for like jumping over certain projectiles or traps and hitting enemies further off screen. While you're in this first town, you can try talking to everyone, but no one's really going to say anything other than, "Nice armlet, where'd you find it, and were you off playing in the mud again?" Someone does say something to that effect. For now though, we're going to get jumped by these guardsmen and monsters, and You can try to take out all of them, but once you take out the ogre, which is the blonde-looking thing up there, all the enemies will automatically die and the fight will end. And also, you shouldn't worry too much about taking too much damage for this first fight, because there's going to be a point where you can just regenerate all your health very soon. This is just to sort of introduce you to combat and get you used to taking on multiple enemies at once. Now, I should have mentioned before that I called him Prince Ali. That's not just a nickname or anything, he really is a prince. And this guy mentions that we should go to the castle where our family is and check on them in case some goons got sent there too, and talking to this guy restores your health every time you do it. Now, the item I just picked up was a block of cheese, and that's going to restore a quarter of health. By the way, with the map system, the white flag indicates where you're supposed to go, and the pointer indicates where you are. And you don't have to go into the menus to do that. If you have a 6-button controller, X is going to be the map, Y is going to be the weapon menu, and Z is going to be the items menu. So it makes it a lot faster to do any menu navigation, just to use those 3 buttons. Again, none of the townsfolk are going to tell you anything particularly important. And now we're in the castle, which is really easy to navigate. There aren't that many rooms in here. Right now we're in the armory, where we can pick up a few health items. The fish will restore half health, and the orange restores a quarter of our spirit points, which we don't have yet, and I'll explain later. There's also a couple of weapons we can pick up here, a bow and a sword. And the way weapons work in this game is, the knife has infinite capacity, but all other weapons will run out or break after a certain amount of uses. As you can see, the sword had 10 uses, the bow has 5. Now that we've got those items, we're going to go ahead and talk to our father, the king, who is all the way on this opposite side of the castle, on the 2nd floor. And the king is going to infer that because of the gold armlet, or rather, the gold armlet is the reason that these people are coming after Prince Ali. And the gold armlet has the ability to get in contact with and get the aid from wild spirits on the island of Oasis. So now we're going to start going to a bunch of different temples to try and harness their power. And he gives us the key to the water temple. Now this lady over here, not the queen, it's our younger sister. Or as some of my buddies would say, that's my sister. You didn't see it happen that time because I already had full health, but talking to her also replenishes your health entirely. And this is what she told us to look at, which is just basic tutorial stuff. I've already explained above and beyond what these things cover. So we're just going to head straight out of the castle and start making our way to the water temple. Now when I pull up the map, try and keep in mind some sense of perspective here, because it's going to look a lot farther away than it actually is. See, it looks like we kind of have to go all the way across the island, but in fact, we're only going to go across 2 or 3 sections of the map. Oh, and if anyone does get curious about this game, it's not just on the Genesis. It was included in the Mega Drive Ultimate Collection, which I believe is for 360 and PS3. And it was also released on the Wii's Virtual Console. Now, this in particular is what I love about the combat in this game, is that you can use several different approaches to taking out any enemies that you find in your way, or you can just run past them, like I'm doing right now, because I don't want to waste a lot of time on this. Although, one thing you'll see me doing a lot is the running slash, because whenever I hit an enemy with that, or most enemies anyway, it'll send them spiraling into the air and falling to the ground, as I'm about to demonstrate here. And that makes it very easy to control the pace of a fight. For now though, let's go ahead and enter the water temple, and this is going to be a very simple, very short temple. Now these two guys right here, you can either go off to the side immediately, or you can jump over the arrows. The timing can be a little tricky at points, but it's not too difficult. And we got some meat that restores 3/4 of our health. Now rather than go through the door, I'm going to duck here and go through this opening. And I'm going to do it again here because there are some items hidden here. This looks like just a sword, but look at how many uses it has. 50. That is way better than most of the items that you'll find throughout the course of the game. And over here I'm going to find another item, the elixir. Elixirs are incredibly rare in this game. There's only, I think, 6 of them in the entire game. And what they do is they replenish all your health and spirit points. And there's actually another item that does that too, the toadstool. But what makes elixirs special is they function kind of like fairies in The Legend of Zelda. If you die, but you have an elixir, it'll automatically kick in and you'll be restored back to full health. Now I've got the key from the ogre, but I might as well show you what else is in this treasure chest down below. After we get a little more meat. And that's not the meat of the people we just killed, by the way. That's boar meat, or beast meat. And this sword gets you 20 uses, which is okay for an item that you're just going to find laying around plainly visible in the field. Now this is something we can't access yet, so I'll just have to come back to that later. If I do come back to that later, because I don't actually have to. This door is locked, but the key is always going to be in this one red slime that I'm attacking right now. And that'll take us to the room right before the boss. And it seems like nothing at first, then the wave hits you. And that can push you all the way back out the door if you're not careful. But for now we go on to the boss. This boss isn't especially difficult, although it does have an ideal pattern to kill it really fast and with little trouble. I'm just going to stick with the knife for this one and do the swipe attack because it'll do a fair amount of damage. Now if you time it correctly, you will never get grabbed by the claw and you will never get hit by the bubbles that it spits out. What you want to try and do is hit the body of the monster as much as possible. If you take out the claw, it won't be able to grab you and throw you against the wall, which is its strongest attack. But if you destroy the claw, now suddenly it's shooting a couple dozen bubbles instead of one. And if it gets down too low, you can get pinned against the wall like I did here. So what you'll have to do is go behind it, and going behind the boss is what triggers it to jump into the air back toward the top of the screen. And now for safety's sake, I'm actually going to use one of my health items. Just one more hit. There. Pretty standard for a first boss. They do ramp up in difficulty and complexity later on. But for now, we are going to proceed through here, and we will finally start using the gold armlet. And we do that by pressing A. You can see our spirit point gauge filling up. Hitting A is what shoots the light ball out of the gold armlet, but for now, we're going to get our first spirit, the water spirit Ditto. Now, each spirit in this game has a few different things that they can do. There's one that you can do just by hitting the A button once while they're already out, hitting it twice, or by holding it for a second and then letting it go. And as you're about to see, Ditto has the magic bubble, which it says it stuns enemies. Basically, it freezes them in time. Healing, which don't rely on that too much because it doesn't do as much healing as any of your health items would. And the water tornado, which if you're in a pinch, you might want to use it, but there, you see the bubble just kind of freezes them in time. The water tornado is incredibly random as far as what path it's going to take, so don't rely on it too much unless you're really in a pinch. And here's how much the healing does. As you can see, it's only about maybe an eighth of my health bar. And I just got rid of it to save spirit points, although once you're outside, spirit points automatically regenerate because the gold armlet is, for all intents and purposes, solar powered. Although I think I'm going to stop right now as we're about to go report back to the castle. So next time on Beyond Oasis, we'll report back to the castle and see if there's either a temple we'll go to next or if there's any more word on those guys who jumped us in the village earlier.